Well, for more on the world's climate change goals, I spoke to Rachel Cleetus. She's an economist with the Climate and Energy Programme at the Union of Concerned Scientists.
Well, it's great to be here in Lima. We've had a fantastic reception from the host country. We've come into this COP with a lot more optimism than we've had in past years. Countries like the US and China making a joint climate announcement, pledges for finance from a number of countries. But there's clearly a lot of work to do in the remaining week here when we have the high-level segment of the negotiations.
Now, you scientists, the climate science community, have been trying to get politicians to take all this seriously for a long time. Do you get the impression, walking around this conference, that the message really has been heard now?
Well, clearly the message from science is getting increasingly urgent. We've seen in the latest IPCC synthesis report that we've used up 2/3 of the remaining carbon budget we have available to us to stay below the 2 degrees C internationally agreed climate goal. So we've got a lot of work to do, and we've got to start doing it really fast. What we hope is that the momentum that we've come into these negotiations with will carry through, that we'll have the political will in countries around the world to deliver on emission reductions, finance, and adaptation measures.
I want to ask you a bit about coal. China has historically depended on coal for its energy needs. It is trying to cut back on it. What do you think is the future of coal in the coming decades?
Well, clearly we've got to phase out conventional coal if we're going to have any hope of meeting our climate goals. But we're in a situation now where, like in countries in the US, like the US, the dominance of coal is seriously getting challenged in the marketplace because of the falling costs of renewables, because of low natural gas prices, and other trends like that. Now, this obviously means that in the US, we've got to start this conventional coal phase out much quicker. China itself has made a very important commitment as part of the joint announcement with the US. They've committed to, by 2030, getting 20% of their energy from non-carbon emitting sources. That's a huge commitment. It means a rapid scale-up of renewables, nuclear, and other zero-emitting sources.
Do you think it's fundamentally the science, the sort of environmental science that's forcing people to cut back on coal, or as you say, there's sort of economics behind it, that alternatives are making better economic sense now?
Well, clearly the biggest imperative is the climate one, but there are a lot of reasons to phase out of this dirty, expensive, outmoded form of energy. In China, for example, the public health burden from burning coal is immense. And just shifting away from coal is going to bring huge benefits to the society in terms of public health improvements. But yes, the market trends are unmistakable now. We've seen renewable energy scale up very rapidly, the costs fall dramatically in the last few years. So we're in a position now where not only should we make this clean energy transition, we actually can make it affordably.
One of the things of this conference that a lot of people have said walking around the corridors here is that the big numbers. These are governments committing to enormous numbers, percentages of reductions in their carbon emissions. Is there another side to it? I mean, that people who are watching this program can understand on the sort of local and individual level? Is there those who are really concerned about the environment and climate change, can they actually make a difference in an individual way?
Absolutely. Well, the thing about climate change is it manifests on the local level. So around the world today, communities are on the front lines of the impacts of climate change, and they clearly see a need to take action. And there are many things we can do. We're seeing a lot of subnational measures to reduce emissions. For example, China has a number of carbon trading programs. The US as well, in states like California and in the Northeast, they've capped carbon emissions. We're seeing improvements towards vehicles with greater fuel economy, a rise in an interest of compact urban living. A lot of the young generation want to live right where they work and play, and they don't want to own cars or drive them. It's too much of a hassle. So there's certainly changes underway, and this is about not just technology and economics, but also about societal change that will need to happen if we tackle climate change.
Turning back to what's imminently happening here in the conference, you know, we've got 2 days more. Let's say we get an agreement that there is a draft text that everyone says that they can pretty much sign up to. What's going to happen between now and Paris 2015? Is that a crucial time, or do we all sort of sit and wait until we all come back again in 12 months' time in Paris?
Well, I think the most important thing that we're starting to see is that countries making contributions on mitigation, adaptation, and finance. These so-called nationally determined contributions that countries are starting to put forward. And we hope in the first quarter of next year, we're going to see a robust set of commitments from all countries, that these commitments are going to live up to the responsibilities, particularly that developed countries have in tackling climate change, and that we can actually get to a fair, ambitious global agreement in Paris. But we have a lot of work to do between now and then to make it happen.
Well, that was Rachel Cleetus from the Union of Concerned Scientists. Our thanks to her.